Okay, so here we are, guys. We actually are working on the inside of the car for this one. As you can see, I got new seats. These seats are from like 2002 Ford Mustang. The guy found them on Facebook Marketplace. Actually, a pretty decent deal. Cheaper than me buying TMI covers for my current seats. So, not too bad. As you can see, it doesn't quite fit right. We're about 2 inches shy from here, from the quarter panel trim piece to the edge of the seat, which is surprising to see that the older Mustang was just a little bit wider. I'm just going to go ahead and leave that and run with that. I'm not too worried about it, especially because down the road I would like to get maybe the TMI quarter panel trim piece, and I think that sticks out a little bit more and everything. The biggest issue we're running into is down here in the bottom. So as you guys can see, we probably have about 6 inches or so. 4 inches, as you can see. They're too tall. Just 4 inches too tall. And I'm a short guy. I'm only about 5'7" and a half, 5'8". If my fiance's watching, 5'10". And basically, sitting here, even with the headrest removed and everything, my head is touching this back piece right here. So they're definitely too tall, which really sucks because they actually feel pretty comfortable sitting in them. So what I'm gonna do is flip this guy over, start looking to see what I can trim, if I can take a couple inches off. I'm also gonna see how this latch here could integrate into the new one. I don't think it will be able to, but I've already looked up these little latches here on the bottom side of how these catch, and they're actually relatively cheap. So if anything, I'll buy the new ones from 2002 Mustang. If I had to just take some sound deadening back and then weld it on, have it working well, then I will do that. I'm gonna leave this one in here, and then I'll go grab the back rest, and I'll show you what those look like. Okay, so here are the back rest in the Mustang now. As you can see, they actually sit pretty good. They are a little tall on the back compared to the rear deck panel. I did have my tape measure, just my little guy. I think they're about 2 or 3 inches taller, which to me is not that bad. Sorry, trying to get this tape measure out in one hand. Give me a second here. There it is. All right, so probably about closer to 3 inches or so from the top of the seats to the rear like package tray. What I could do is I could also scoot these guys forward just a little bit and kind of get it kind of angled down, and then get this guy in the right position, which is probably what I'm gonna end up doing, something kind of like that, to get them down just a little bit lower, more even, and obviously sitting pretty good. That does bring the back portion, it makes this gap, significantly higher. So all the way across, at least 6 inches, maybe even slightly a little bit more. But then what that does is it's putting more of an angle on the front of the seat, which might actually make it sit a little bit lower. And then on these sides here, as you can see, I could push this all the way up against there and get it pretty close, but then the stripes are off. So I'd rather push that over to the left, get the stripes off, and then have a plate. I think I'm just going to take some, like, I don't know, probably like 20 gauge, 18 gauge, whatever metal I have on me, and I will just weld something back in here. I'm thinking I'll just connect it to the quarter panel trim here, just weld something to flush all this out, maybe put a little bend on it. And then on this side, I just probably won't have it attached, or maybe drill a few screws. So then if you ever have to remove it, it'll be welded on this side, look kind of like one piece. And then behind the seat, if you take it off, it'll just have a couple screws on the support that you can take out. One of the things I did want to show is, I'll have this off. If you can see, the latch to move the bottom has a little latch on the top here. Pull that, and it's very simple. It just pulls the latch up and out. As you can see, we already have hooks right here from the original Mustang, And I think I'm just gonna plan on reusing those. Unfortunately, as it sits, I'm gonna have to grab a measurement from where the hook is on the new Mustang to the new one. So I'm gonna have to kind of finagle everything up there, get one side in place, and then kind of move everything from there. I think I'd rather have the seat kind of like, get that kind of lined up. It needs to come up more, it's falling. So it needs to kind of rest on that back piece really. And honestly, it probably needs to, this whole thing needs to go back a little bit more. Yeah, that's much better. So it is gonna sit a little bit high. I'm gonna be fine with that. And I'm good to live with that. And there's the other side. Now as you can see, the other side, same thing, needs to get pushed over to line up the stripes. It's gonna be a fine line of getting those pretty close. Still move the bottom base as well. So my thought is to also weld in a plate just right down the middle, and that way when you look through it, if it's just painted black right there, you won't really see anything. Nothing should fall back behind, and it should be good to go. So that's the plan for the back seat. You know, just kind of weld on a piece on both sides. Now we have it all done, and I might either weld or screw something on. You know, screwing something on might not be a bad idea, though. We want to take it off. I can reuse it, or maybe making a false wall, the entire thing. I could do that out of metal, because I've seen that. They build an entire false wall, and then they wrap it in some like automotive like felt, which I could actually probably do that, and it would look better, I think, if it's all uniform all the way across. I'm not entirely sure what I'm gonna do yet, but these are the back seats. What I'm gonna do now is take this guy back inside and trim off. I'm gonna try and look at it and see if I can trim off a couple inches on the seat foam on the bottom. Unfortunately, it's just not gonna work. Even though nobody's really ever gonna sit back there, if anybody does, their heads will be hitting. So if I could take at least an inch or 2 inches off this bottom, get everything sucked in, close up this gap as well, because I think it looks pretty goofy. I think that'll help. So yep, I'm gonna get everything back out, and we will go from there. So we have the seat placed back in there. It really didn't make much of a difference. At least it's resting on the transmission tunnel now. Maybe if they get broken in a little bit more, they might, you know, sponge down a little bit. It may be made, I mean, I'm sure it made a little bit of a difference, but really nothing too crazy noticeable, which means I am going to have to figure out what I'm going to do on the bottom side to kind of hide all this. It is going to have the carpet. I don't really quite remember where the carpet ends though, so I'm hoping it at least can get up and through there, the carpet, and it'll just be kind of tucked up under place and in there. And that's just nature of the beast, just is what it is. I'll have to look around online, or if anybody has any suggestions, maybe how to get this guy fitting in there, let me know. What I could do is bring the back up and kind of angle it down more. That is a possibility, and then that just brings the seat backs up a ton, and it also doesn't like to fit around the quarter panels then if I bring it up too much, because it gets wider in this portion. So if I even pick it up too much, then it just pushes out on that side, versus if I kind of bring everything forward, get it nice and tight up in there, then it just is even, and it's just fitting where it's ultimately going to stay. So I think I'm just going to have to run it like this. I do plan on getting a like one-piece headliner, so I'll be removing all these, and I will be you know, cleaning all the roof up. There's a ton of surface rust, as you can see. Just using that sound deadener, trapping in moisture. So I do need to sand the entire roof. I'm going to throw some probably Eastwood rust encapsulator on it after I get it all down to bare metal, and then I will throw some sound deadener that I have on the entire roof too. And then hopefully I'll be able to get the one-piece headliner. I'd like to get it, but it's not a priority at the moment. So, but yeah, what I'm gonna do is go ahead and bring that seat back in. I was just hoping that this would go a little bit better. Unfortunately, it didn't. So before I move forward, I will leave that as is. And tonight, I'm going to throw on a slider on the front seats just off camera and fit it up and everything. And then once I get everything kind of set and figured out, then I'll update a video and probably show how to do it on the passenger side. And then I also have 3-point seat belts, which means I'm gonna have to I think it drills through, the bracket drills through right here, connects to the regular seat belt hole right here and brings it back, and then up right around in this area, I believe right here. The 67s are not threaded for a bolt, 68s are, so you get to weld up something, fish it in there, and then kind of screw it in. So that'll be fun, but that'll be a little bit later time. I'm probably gonna try and get one whole side figured out before I finish this video, and then I can give updates on the other side. I'm not really sure how to do any of this at all. And as you can see, the car is still undergoing body work. I do have a couple separate different videos that will be coming out on this, but it's moving along. Just changed the spark plugs today, redid some of the wiring, and she's starting up and running decent. Still have a little bit of a fuel leak though, unfortunately, on the rear end. So I'm going to get a new fuel sending unit and try that, since I've replaced everything else and it's still leaking. Okay guys, we're back on the seats on the Mustang. As you remember, I couldn't get the seat tracks to fit. They're just not tall enough. I think they would be if we didn't have this aftermarket TMI foam, but you can see it sticks out and it's just, you can't get them in there right. You know, they had the tracks going to be extended. It just doesn't work. So what I did was I was looking around online for solutions. Really just couldn't find anything that would work for mine, except for maybe buying some aftermarket like seat tracks. But the only ones I could find were Corbo, and they said they only work with Corbo seats. And then found some universal ones, but kept reading mixed reviews on which ones are good, which ones are bad, everything like that. And just because of the aftermarket foam and the bolstering, I think anything I would buy, you know, if it could fit flat on here, I think like an original seat, I think I would be fine. But with this foam, I think I have to, you know, space it out. So what I did was I took the track, took this guy here, and I just kind of held it up into place, and it should operate kind of like that. And I just kind of like took the little lever there and kind of got it where I like it to where it's not resting on the leather. It's not going to like rip during operation or anything. It's not going to feel weird, and it kind of fits right around in there pretty good. And what I did was I just took a measurement from the seat hole here, which would be hard to see where my finger is, my index finger, to the track, and it's about an inch. So my thought is if I build a spacer that's about an inch, that'll bring that out. Then I can take some flat stock, and with that flat stock, what I will do is just weld some flat stock from the 1-inch spacer from the top and the bottom. So 1-inch spacer, 1-inch spacer, have the flat stock on, and then I can go ahead at that point and then bolt this guy on. And because that'll be welded, that flat stock, if I want to go ahead and match it to the end of this seat track here, you know, I can add more flat stock, which I will. That way it lines up a little bit better, because as you can see on this side, regardless, I'm gonna have to extend it quite a bit for the that hole there to fit. So for the back, what I have is I will probably end up welding on some flat stock to the back side here, welding that on pretty good. It doesn't interfere with the action or anything. and it's probably gonna be about 6 inches, I think. I'll have to grab a measurement once I get everything kind of placed together. And yeah, so what I'll be able to do then is then run one of these bolts through the flat stock, through the spacer, which is just some 3/4 rounded tube. So then I'll be able to throw this guy in there, have my spacer right there. Flat stock will be welded on all the way around, and at that point it's just fitting this guy on there. So if I have to flip it around, and I can put this kind of up here, I can put it wherever, and it'll just weld right onto the flat stock. So what I'll do is I want to keep anything clear of this lever here, so I don't have anything in the vicinity messing with that. So what I'll do is I'll weld something on from back here to the back, and then somewhere probably up here. So if you ever want to remove it, what you would have to do is remove the whole thing, and this track here will just have permanently fixed this flat stock here, which just is what it is. But then you will still be able to remove it with these bolts. So hope these are the right size. I couldn't find anything online, so had to kind of guess on the bolt size. Seems like they're going in pretty good. They get pretty tight pretty quick though, so I'm a little nervous about that. I'll have to run one in and see if that is the correct one. I just got all my supplies from Tractor Supply Co., and what I did was I grabbed one of the little washers to mount on the bottom side of the car here. Saw that fit really good, and then grabbed the corresponding nuts for that, which they were 5/16 coarse thread nuts, if you're curious. So I assume that they would be the same. Get that off there. So I assume they would be, and they look like they're going in. You just get, yeah, you only get about 2 or 3 turns on it. So I'll have to double check and see it's not messing up the threads or anything, and maybe just run a wrench on there, see kind of what happens. But I think it's pretty good. Yeah, so then I was gonna just go ahead and buy some spacers that they have, just some 1-inch spacers to make my job easy, but they're $8 a piece. So if they are $8 a piece and I would need theoretically 8 of them, then that means, that's not gonna work for my application, because that's about $70 in just some 1-inch spacers. So instead, like I already talked about, I just bought some of this tubing, and I'm just gonna go outside, put it in my mini vise, grind them off about 1 inch. I'm just gonna do 4 really quick to have them, and then hold them up there, run a bolt through there, make sure that they look pretty good, and we'll go from there. Okay guys, I got the brackets on as we previously talked about. Everything is nice and snug. Really excited with how that all turned out. As you can see, everything is pretty good. Well, next came up to the other components that came with the seat sliders, which included new hardware, which, to be honest, I didn't even know that came with that, or else I would have probably seen if I could have used those. But at a glance, they were definitely too short. Came with this extra spring right here, which I know will end up there eventually. It came with this little threaded portion with like a little elbow. So take note of that one, that it's threaded. Okay, it came with this piece here, and that's for like the tensioner, and then this other rod. Significance on this rod is you have this like little curlicue. So I'm gonna start with this one, the curlicue, and go ahead and set that up. So the way that this one goes, after looking around online, is the curlicue needs to end up on the inside of this portion here. These two got to be kind of, I don't know if you could see, there's a hole on both sides. You push it together, get it lined up, and the curlicue needs to end up on the inside of there. Well, that was pretty difficult, obviously, to try and figure. If you can't really, feed this through there. So what you have to do is kind of go in from the inside kind of like this at an angle. And all you're gonna do is get your holes lined up, poke this guy through, and you're just gonna kind of, you know, work it through. It's as easy as that. Now if you pull this all the way, you have the little curly Q there holding that side together. So where this goes on the seat, excuse me, is this other end here is going to end up going right, let me zoom in, right there on the this hole. It's actually got to come in from the other way, so I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get this with one hand, but basically I'm going to force it down in there, and then because it has this little kink in there, you force it down in and then it'll sit flat kind of like that. Let me set you guys back down, back on the wide angle, and let me get this in, hopefully in just a minute or two. I think I might be able to fish this in there. Might have been better to do this before I installed the tracks, but you know, I was pretty excited to get these tracks on in there. Oh man, it is like right there. So even with a 1-inch spacer, it's pretty difficult. Oh man, I don't know, to get that guy in there. Let me see if I can get up. Be able to potentially bend it just a little bit. Come on. Wow, all right, this is kicking my butt. Should go in your home. Yeah, you see, I had it like in. This piece gets stuck, and there we go. Wow, okay. Well, that was definitely not easy, that's for sure. All right, we are in. Let me zoom in there and I'll show you how that ended up. We'll just go to 1-time zoom instead of 2. So here, as you can see, we are in right here where my finger is. Let me grab it from down here. You should see it wiggling. So right in that hole there, trying to get the focus in. And because that little L, it shouldn't have any issues. Cool, so now we're gonna go ahead and put in the other side. So the other side is actually threaded, which I said, you know, take note of. And that one actually fits in there super easy. So it's got like a stair stepper, and from what I'm looking at, the only way it fits is in this second one. And then if you get it just right, it actually fits very, very snug up against the frame and the track. So it fits right in there. So I'm pretty sure that's how that one goes, and I'm just gonna put it in that first slot or hole. And now all we got left to do is to connect these, which, where did mine go? Oh, there it is. And again, this one in my right hand here is threaded, so I will just go ahead and make that nice and tight. Actually, you know what, I'm gonna do it off the track first. This one's easy enough to do that it doesn't really matter. Man, it's not really wanting to get in there, the threads. We're making a little bit of ground, but not really a lot. All right, let's see if that's enough. I doubt it. All right, we were very close, actually. Let's take it back out. So basically, from what I understand, you want that to be just pretty tight and straight all the way across. So essentially I would need the curly Q to go down to the center here, which means I need to take off or get this guy up about an inch or so, which is easier said than done. I don't know if it's just the aftermarket piece or what, but it's like not really working in regards to the threads. It's just not, should just kind of spin on there, and it's not. So I'll have to keep, I guess, playing with that or see what's, I don't understand what's going on there. I'll mess with that off camera though. I'm not gonna have you guys watch me forever looking at that. Next comes this spring here. So normally your seat tracks will have a hole or some type of bracket, usually in the bottom side here. Probably right where my new mount is. So my mount is different. I modified it because I'm running seats out of a 2002 Ford Mustang. So typically it would stop here. You wouldn't see any of this, flat stock or anything here. And then there is a channel or a little hole where this spring would go into. And this is a string. This spring is usually under some pretty good tension. So you just have to pull it down and it should be somewhere in there. Obviously mine doesn't have it, so what I'm going to do is end up cutting a little, or drilling a little hole somewhere right around in here, pulling that spring down and hooking it up there, and that should allow all the functions and everything to work for my application. But that is how the springs should work and go. I'm not gonna have you guys watch me struggle getting this tight. For some reason this thing is not like screwing in, so I might just have to force it and kind of see what happens. But anyway, that will be the update for tonight. Tomorrow I will be chucking this guy in the car and hopefully, showing what that is all about. Hopefully everything works, it fits. And then if it does, I will be doing the passenger side as well, exactly the same as the driver's side. Now that I have it figured out at least for now. We'll see how it works tomorrow, but yeah, I'm pretty excited. And then I will be putting them in, and then I'll be taking them right back out because my car doesn't have a windshield right now, and I don't want them to get wet. So nothing much there. Last update was I didn't like how this guy was resting on the leather. You can see it's not anymore. And all I did was put one finger here where my thumb was, or one hand, and then take the other hand and kind of just, pull on that, bent it up and out of the way. So it's actually pretty perfect because now when you use it, it's nice and high and away from the leather. And then when it's resting, it's not touching the leather or anything. So turned out pretty much exactly how I would have liked it to. Just need to get this spring right here and this spring done, which shouldn't take too long. All right, but thanks guys, I really appreciate it, and I will see you guys in the morning. So it's been a few weeks just because I've been busy with everything else in the car. So finally got around the passenger seat, and it went much smoother. I actually went away with the 1-inch spacers because after testing out the driver's seat, it's definitely a little too tall. And believe it or not, that actually worked. So I didn't need those 1-inch spacers. I was worried about it messing up the leather and everything, but to be honest, it's actually fine. And very tight. I did change out the Phillips head bolts that came with the kit. These, didn't really like them. Couldn't really get them super tight. And I went down to the hardware store and got some 5/16 by 18, and I just got them 3/4 long. That's all the auto parts store had, which was more than enough. And then you can really crank those down and get everything nice and tight. And then the springs on this one went together a million times better than the driver's side. So the driver's side doesn't slide right now. And that was because I had issues with this part right here, not screwing on to the threaded portion of this rod versus now it actually is. And as you can see, that's nice and tight and under tension. And I can still spin it probably a little bit more if I needed to, but I think it's where it needs to go. And then I just went ahead and took the heavy duty spring down here and connected it. That way, whenever you pull it, it pulls everything. Oh man, it's pretty difficult to pull, but as you can see, it's action, driving that action over there to where then you should be able to slide. And then knowing that I can bend up this guy out of the way a little bit, I might actually bring it up. Might bring that up and play with that a little bit more, but really happy with it. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this in the car. It's gonna go in the normal seat locations in the platform. And then I got some new hardware for that as well, so I will be throwing that on. Once I get that in, I'll give you guys an update of how everything feels and looks. Really excited that this one came together so much better than driver's side one. So I may end up redoing the driver's side one a little later down the road when I have more time. Time of filming this, it's like 9 days until my wedding, so I need to just get the seats in there so we can have it there. So let me update you guys after I get it in the car. All right guys, so here are the seats. Off camera the other day, order of events, I did the windshield first. Had to be able to drive it over there, so I was working on also getting door handles and everything on. Stopped cutting and buffing, and then got the seats in. I had to get the driver's side in order to also get it to the glass shop. Unfortunately, they got it in after I couldn't, and it still leaks. So I called them, and they're gonna give me some tubes of sealant that I can go crazy with. But yeah, so both seats are in. This passenger one, much better. Just need to get a deep socket for the seat bolts underneath where they go to the seat platform. And then there's the back seats. So back seats gonna be pretty easy. I don't know if you can see that hook that's touching the back of the seat, and then that's the stock location. Right, where's my finger? That piece right there is a stock location. So I just need to move that hook over about what is it, about 6 inches or so. So I just cut that off and grind it. Those will not sit nice and flush. But here is the passenger seat. It like I said, I felt like it went together much better than the driver. So really happy. These are very comfortable. I basically ride with them all the way lean back. Surprisingly, I'm only about 5'8", 5'7", 5'8", and I do have probably 4 to 5 inches of headroom before I do hit the headliner, which is how come I have to go with a one-piece headliner. It sits about the same as the driver's side height-wise, so I really don't think those 1-inch little spacers made a difference, to be honest. So the function I'm curious about is the tilt and everything works for the backrest. You're probably gonna ride with them all the way back though, just height-wise. And then the function of sliding, it should work. Man, this thing might have made it too tight. Okay, well, for the time being, I can feel it almost hitting the mechanism, but honestly made it too tight. And I can't even pull it all the way over. Yeah, so that's just not quite. Yeah, I guess I did that connection a little too tight with that spring there and everything. So maybe didn't do the big spring big enough. So it's gonna be fixed position right now. Just is gonna be what it is. Yeah, pretty happy with how that did turn out. I do have a lot of other things upcoming for the interior. Don't want to spoil too much, but do have some stuff coming to make it a little bit more safe in general. But very happy with how these turned out. Definitely no complaints. I think it looks really good too. I like the fact that they're almost full length pretty much for your head too, so that's pretty neat. I'm sure you saw some other stuff in there that's not stock that will be a little bit different video on, but there they are. It looks pretty neat for sure. Definitely very happy with it. So that's going to conclude this one. As always, thanks everyone for the help. It's really starting to look like a car again. Very close. Super excited about getting the interior in. She is starting and running really well, even just hopping in, even when it's like 20-ish degrees outside. Like, I'm really starting to gain a lot of confidence in it. I do need to add some coolant because I had a coolant leak I had to chase down, but I bet you if I let it sit here for just a second, might have to give it a little gas. Let's see. No gas. I'll give it a little gas to help it out. And there she is. And it's about 40 degrees outside right now, so that's pretty dang good. Really, really happy with it. I need to get the console and some other stuff, but that will conclude this video. So thanks everyone. Been getting some comments, some stuff messaged to me and everything like that, some help. So I really appreciate all the help and tips and tricks along the way. If anybody has anything helpful that they can do for the seats, make them a little bit more comfortable, I would really like to be able to have the sliding function. It's not that big of a deal, but I would prefer to have that. Let me know in the comments below. Maybe you can help somebody else out. I have seen some different floor pans too. They're like, I think they're like 1/2 inch lower. I don't think that's gonna make a big enough difference for me to warrant cutting out the brand new ones I have and then putting in those ones. If I could do it over, obviously I would have added, but I wasn't really planning on these seats at that time. I kind of just found them on Facebook Marketplace and really liked them, and I essentially wanted to do the same color in my 67 seats, but these were actually about $1,000 cheaper, all done front and back, already done, good to go, versus me just buying the leather from TMI, which is crazy. And I wanted pretty much the exact same design, so it was a no-brainer. Yeah, so if anybody has anything that can be helpful to anybody else, put it in the comments below. And like always, if anybody's in the Maryland area and needs help, let me know. I'm always down to lend a hand. Not the most talented, but definitely am down to give it a shot. And man, the spot that I cut and buffed the trunk, man, she looks good back here. But anyway, thanks guys, have a good one. Okay, welcome back guys. It's been a long time since I have worked on the interior of the Mustang when it comes to the seats. So man, it's been just a headache. Front seats on the previous videos, as you saw, pretty easy, got them installed. They still sit pretty tall, so I think this summer I'm gonna drive around on them, see how it works, and probably if it's just too high and I just don't like them, then I'm probably gonna pull out the carpet, redo the seat platforms. I'm just gonna cut those out. You probably just get some square tubing to reinforce things this way, and since I have added subframe connectors, don't know when that video is gonna be out yet, that should be pretty strong and actually has some structural rigidity to where it should be okay. And then just get some universal like seat sliders that have the bar up front and like the nice ball bearings and everything in there, because the little spring tension rods and everything in there, while I have them all installed, they just don't work that well. It's a pain, move the seat forward and backward, even extending it and everything, and it just, I don't know, could be so much better, especially because I want this to be maybe not quite daily drivable ability. I want it to be very close. I pretty much want to be able to hop right in and just go, not really have to think about it. So that's what all I've done for the front seats. I did have the 3-point seat belts, but you can see I went ahead and took this one off. It is too far back, so if I am sitting in the car, you can see I have to go all the way back to here to grab it. I don't know if you guys can see, but I mean that's 1.5 feet or so back. So I think I used the wrong hole for the mount itself. I tried cutting that off earlier and it just wasn't really coming. So I'm gonna move that probably up to somewhere right around in here. Unfortunately, you're gonna see it in the main window, which kind of sucks because I want to have it hidden. But I think I'm gonna put it right around in here so it's easier to grab. And then with those 3-point seat belts, another issue we're having is the bottom portion here. That's as far as it goes. So you can see it's kind of a pain to get, the seat belt even in or anything. If this thing, which is in the stock location in the back here, I mean, it's like 8 inches long. I mean, if it was, maybe a couple more inches longer, it actually wouldn't be too bad. So to combat that, I bought some little universal like extenders off Amazon. So it plugs into here and it gives you the plug, you know, for the actual seat belt for the lap portion. Excuse my wiring. I've been trying to figure out a ton of the wiring and it's not going great. So still gonna think about that. Maybe contact who I ordered the seat belts from and see if I can get like a, you know, that bottom portion that I just spoke about. See if they make one that's extended, because I like the look of them and all, and see if they can just make one that's, I don't know, like a foot long instead of 8 inches long. So that brings us to the back seats. So the back seats are from an 02. Oh, the whole get up is from the 02. 1 second here. Move that forward. See, nothing's just smooth. Yeah, so these are from an 02 Mustang, and I just have everything sat in place. Nothing's secured at all. I don't know what I'm gonna do about this yet. This is sitting here. It doesn't flop around surprisingly or anything when driving, but you know, that's just a big gap right here. So the way that this bottom seat is, has this huge foam at the top and a cutout around the transmission tunnel to try and get it down more and everything. But there's metal rods right where that bump out is, right here where my thumb's at. That's all metal going in there, keeping all the seat and everything together. So I really don't want to cut into that, especially because whoever did the work before me, I bought these used with the TMI covers. They did a pretty decent job and they look pretty good. So I don't really want to mess with the bottom too much as is. But that brings us then to the back portion. So, my little tripod there came undone. So the back portion actually looks pretty good. They fit relatively close in general. And really the only thing I'm gonna end up doing, which is gonna be working on today, is taking this hook here and moving it over. That way it fits on the other seats, you know, the back of the 02 seats. I'm gonna try and get back there. Just get. So these 02 seats, there it is, has a spot right here where they are able to be folded down and everything and latched in. So if I just move that latch over, I think it's like 6 inches when I measured or something, it should in theory fit and latch in perfectly. So I'm gonna cut this out and then hold it up there in place and see if it works. I'm thinking it might not be the right depth this way, so I might have to build something. And then I got just some flat tube, not tube, sorry, just some flat stock, and I can fill in, you know, right around where the quarter panel is, and I'm gonna put another one down in the middle. And it's like, it's, was it like 3/8 or something? Relatively thick stuff, and then that should rack and wrap it in, you know, like a suede-like material. And when you're looking at it, all the gaps and everything will just be black, suede looking, nothing out of the ordinary really, until you get up kind of close. You'll notice that's different. That'll also be extra support then for the trunk, and in the event of an accident, hopefully that'll allow the, that should be strong enough to not allow the gas tank, sorry, to come up into the cab. I know a lot of people do a divider. I'm not too worried about that because it seems like it doesn't happen a ton after looking around online. But, you know, if I do plan on taking this on the highway and getting rear-ended in this lovely state of Maryland with some horrible drivers, I want to have as much, you know, protection as safety as I can put into this car. So I think having one pretty thick bar in the middle, a couple more on the sides, they'll go like right in this area, and they're like 3 or 4 inches, you know, wide, and whatever the thickness is, I don't really remember. That should help hopefully stiffen that up and then not allow for the gas tank to come forward in the event of a rear end accident. The gas tank is completely bolted down, all the factory locations, everything like that, so should hold up pretty decent, but you just never know. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and get all this out of here so I have room to actually work, and then put you guys on time lapse when I'm gonna start with grinding down that guy and trying to move it over, and we'll just kind of fit it and keep playing with it. Okay guys, so here we are, seats are in. Honestly, I wish I would have thought of the Velcro earlier. See, it's solid in there. I have to like, there we go. And that's it, I just have a big long Velcro strip right here. connects directly in. I can shift these around to the left and the right so they fit really well, to get my stripes and everything matched up. So I can get it to where they're good, press on pretty good, and we're looking golden. This side also doesn't have the quarter panel piece on. This side does. So you can see I got a gap right here. Should have a tape measure. I think it's about 2-inch gap. So I don't exactly know what I'm gonna do here yet. Yeah, about a 2-inch gap all the way, roughly. So I've kind of been looking at what to do with that. I do have this 3-inch 16 gauge steel that I could cut and then like cover with some material and then weld on. I'm not sure. I don't exactly know what I want to do. I do want to have that separation for noise and everything, but yeah, I just really don't know. I might just leave it as is for right now until I think of something better idea. So wow, it's a long video just to say that I ended up using Velcro. So I do have some more Velcro I'm going to be adding in along the bottom and everything too, but at least the seats are actually in now, pretty dang secure, and then I can work on getting them pushed down the same level, or to, you know, get this the same height. And then I'm going to bring in my laser and just my construction laser, just put it right here, grab the center line, and be able to make sure that I get everything decently centered, and then bring like the seat belt buckles through, everything like that. So cool thing is everything's in. It's actually pretty solid. Surprisingly, the bottom actually is fitting pretty decent too for just kind of sitting there, which is kind of strange. So I think I'm gonna add just some like Velcro maybe to like right here, and that way at least it's sticking there. I don't anticipate anybody ever really sitting in the back, because it's just with how high that sits, it's pretty much impossible to get somebody back there. I'm on the shorter side, about 5'8" or so, and my head basically touches the roof. Yeah, so if anybody has an idea though on that passenger side, it will be on the driver's side too once we get to the quarter installed. I was working on the quarter vent window, which turned out pretty good. Let me know. I don't really know what to do there. I could even you know, cut a piece of wood out, something, maybe even, I have some hardy board that for the headliner, so that'd be a little bit easier. Cut that and wrap it. I guess what I could do is cut that hard board out of the entire shape of the back, or wrap the whole thing. That might be the option. I think that's what I'm gonna do. So let me play around with that, and I'll update you guys if I end up liking that route.